because like how things are now, it's not going to be how things are in a year.
Exactly.
I already know like some good friends of mine are like, building this company. They're like, hey, can you just stick to Discord and please not do any other things? And then that way we're not going to compete. I was like, fuck no. No.
Yeah, no, I don't think so.
Because nobody knows. Like, we don't know where it's going to go. Like,
Exactly.
are we gonna do really well in the Discord niche market? Yeah, but we've got millions of other irons in the fire, and we don't know where this is going to end up. So yeah, no, of course we're not going to stop.
Welcome to Mission DeFi with Brad Nickel, where we explore projects in decentralized finance that are innovating and driving our mission of financial freedom forward. Thank you for listening. If you like what you hear, please subscribe, rate, and review Mission DeFi and spread the word by posting a tweet to the show. All opinions expressed by Brad Nickel or his guests are their opinions and do not reflect the opinions of Black Knox, Material Indicators, or any other affiliated organizations. You should not treat any opinion expressed by Brad Nickel or his guests as an inducement to make a particular investment, follow a particular strategy, or become involved with any project. A project being featured on the show is not an endorsement of that project in any way. This podcast is for informational purposes only. Now, here's Mission DeFi with Brad Nickel.
All right. I am excited. What's that?
I wore my Bitcoin shirt just for this.
I'm going to leave this in. I was just doing the intro, and you stepped right the fuck over it. Wait, here's my shirt today. You read it?
Surely
not everyone was kung fu fighting. All right. So if you can't tell, my guest today, my buddy, my friend Corey Cottrell, and I have some history. So we didn't have to sit.
I didn't think we were going to get out. I didn't think we were going to like get into that.
Yeah, well, we might as well, dude. Let's just tell the whole world. It's time. Is your wife listening?
Not anymore.
Oh shit. I guess I'm not up to date.
No, just because I thought we were keeping the secret. Sorry.
Oh,
yeah. Still very married.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
I was like, fuck. Maybe we'll do a little session beforehand.
Oh, beefy does. Do more.
Okay. So Corey and I go back a little bit, starting with the Andrew Yang campaign. But and interestingly enough, both just kind of slid into some DeFi worlds, similar timing, I think. Corey Cottrell, the founder of Uplift World, and a really cool new project called Metamind in the AI field. And regular listeners to DeFi Lunch and Mission DeFi know I am a little bit fucking obsessed right now. And so it's really cool to have a buddy who's driving forward with some really neat ideas in this space. So thank you for joining us today, Corey. Also, Corey is an accomplished and incredibly talented musician. I don't know how much he gets to do of it anymore, but
I play bear market a lot.
Oh, good. But really, really fantastic work.
Thanks.
And so, Corey, thank you for joining me today, buddy.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. It's been too long.
Tell us about your background. How was your childhood?
Oh, geez. Well, I mean, entertainingly, I grew up in the Canadian Arctic, and now I live in Florida. I've tried both.
Yeah, well,
Florida's better.
Insane extremes. Although I bet the Canadian Arctic is beautiful.
It really is, and I'm really grateful for kind of the. I didn't know I was getting imbued with a sense of adventure and kind of ruggedness.
Right.
Because I didn't know any better. It was like, I thought everyone went hiking in -40 all the time when they were 11. Apparently that's not,
it's not the norm.
Works. Yeah, no, it was good. And I remember the feeling still, you get out of town, there's only about 20,000 people living there, even when I left.
Right.
And you get outside of town, look, there's nothing for, 600 miles.
Wow.
And you
Wow.
you almost get the sense of you know, walking on ground that very few bipeds have walked on before. If you're like up in the boondocks,
That's
right?
insane, dude.
Yeah. And yeah, I guess that sort of translates a little bit because I sort of constantly find myself walking a little bit further down the path or over the hill than the average. I mean, and the Andrew Yang thing, like you were just kind of walking through, you know, that dude's ahead of his time. And
Sure.
hopefully, you know, our new AI overlords will just kind of do exactly what Andrew Yang was going to do anyway, right?
Well, he
Uh,
told us it was coming. I don't even think he expected quite to this level that we're going to experience.
It's
But
funny. I was doing podcasts about AI 5-6 years ago, and reading Tim something, the Wait But Why blog. If you
mm,
haven't checked it out,
yep,
read any of them. Just throw a dart at his blog and you'll be entertained. But he did a huge primer on artificial intelligence and sort of, you know, the getting takes into Kurzweil and like the exponential capacity of it or whatever. So I started telling people about it then. And they're like, yeah, pat me on the head, send me on my way.
yeah,
It's not even really a thing, right?
yeah,
And I have to completely agree. You know, I still thought end of the 2030s, you know, 2029 is when I think Kurzweil was talking about human level AI or AGI, like that, you know, that sort of artificial general intelligence that's good enough that it'd be as good as humans. I think arguably, you know, depending on how, like, you have to really fine constrain things now to not see GPT-4 as AGI on its own in a lot of ways. And then Otter GPT, yada yada. All right, so things just went from like maybe, probably, whatever to like, yeah, no, we'll have AGI pretty soon, right? I was
yeah,
thinking we might have like some elements of AGI in a couple of years. No, like
yeah,
Auto GPT is that, right? Like the people that are working on the pieces of it now, right? Like
yeah,
my little tiny team is working on versions of AGI right now. That's bonkers,
yeah.
which
It's
means that
insane.
like it's going to be everywhere in 2 years,
Yeah,
everywhere in 2 years.
yeah. I'm pretty amazed. But okay, let's get back to you for
Yeah, yeah.
real quick,
Sorry.
then we'll get into that.
Yep.
So Canadian Arctic,
Yeah.
and back here. Then you ended up here in Florida. Any particular reason, or just you wanted to get the hell out of the cold?
I actually got divorced back in the day and followed a girl down here,
Oh wow,
and then forgot to leave.
that's a big move. I mean, that's like literally a big move. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
I
Dude.
came down here
Wow.
with a guitar and a backpack.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow. I like that story. That's good. I can see the documentary now.
yeah.
All right. So you're in Florida. You're being a musician. I know that. And you have got engaged in the Andrew Yang campaign. I know that. And you were doing shows and you were trying to keep things rolling with that. We had a lot of fun, both of us, on that campaign.
Yep.
And when did you have your crypto DeFi awakening?
So I was actually, my first year in crypto was actually 2017.
No, about the same.
Yeah, and as a musician, you know, I studied a little bit of forex or whatever. I traded my nards off through that whole bull market and like turned a couple $100 into 30,000, which for me
Nice.
is like absurd. You know, like
Yeah,
that
sure.
makes no sense. My biggest lesson from that whole bull market, though, a buddy of mine put in right around the same amount of money, did nothing, like threw darts at the market basically, and then did nothing for 2 years and made 7% less than.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's just like, you
So
know,
all that lost sleep you could have kept. And
100%, like the active trading, you know,
yeah,
unless you're insanely good,
yeah.
chances are you're not.
99% chance you're not.
Right.
Yeah.
The long hold makes a lot more sense. And really, like, watching how many people would actively trade and lose money in a bull market just
Yep.
made me want to, like, you know, punch brick walls. It's just absurd to watch. But that was my first sort of like, holy crap, there's something going on here. I started trading it and obviously learning about Bitcoin and you know, the kind of Web3 ethos. And then I started doing shows in that next bear market. I'm volunteering for, you know, whichever startup would let me hang out with them, doing promo for them, you know, by interviewing a bunch of people in the Web3 space. And, you know, through the process of that, you know, learned about NFTs and was kind of constantly in the podcast space. We started kind of doing some kitschy little interviews in Minecraft. And so I started learning about some of those game things and realized that it was like a metaverse waiting to happen. Right? We were long before NFT worlds that smoked us because they started on Ethereum a year later. But yeah, we had a metaverse based on Minecraft and NFTs and crypto and stuff.
And that's
And
Uplift World,
that's the
which
Uplift
is
work. Yeah.
really cool. You had a nice community going. You had a project going. People could buy land, which were represented by NFTs. You guys had architected and built a ton of functionality into Minecraft with plugins, which is not an easy thing to do. It's actually a total pain in the ass thing to do. And things were rolling, right? You took over. There's another story. You took over the company from
Yeah.
another
So
company.
yeah, we had it was my first sort of foray into relatively big business. We did a few million our first year, and my partners decided what they really wanted to do is get this $20 million investment from some groups that ended up not passing a background test.
Oh,
Yeah. Anyway, so they couldn't do it anyway. Yeah, so they basically were going to kibosh the entire Uplift, and so I freaked out and figured out how to buy the company back from them, and then we turned it into a DAO, which is worth that today. And yeah, like we're definitely bear market, everything's super slow, but the community's still there. We're still moving. We're gonna survive the bear market. And really, like it was thinking about creating hyper intelligent non-player characters that are ownable as NFTs for the Uplift that got me obsessed with GPT-3. And like the day GPT-4 came out is when about 24 hours later we pivoted because I got, and me, I don't code to save my own life, right? I sort of like the if I'm good at anything, it's sort of understanding the technological pieces enough that I can see when you can duct tape them together to build stuff that people want to play around with, right?
right.
But instead of doing that, I was like, well, GPT-4, can I use an API code to run you through our Discord? And so we're good at creating personas already, like make you a character. And it's like, of course, boop, 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 boop. And like 48 hours later, I had coded the initial artificial intelligence that lives in the Uplift Discord now, which is the first Metaminds.ai. And now there's like 5 or 6 of them. They're getting smarter all the time.
All right, let's get back to that. But wait, we have another human interest story that we need to touch. And that is you went through the hell of thinking your project was going to be shut down. You rescued it from the jaws of incompetence, and you stood it, got it rolling, got the community back engaged, got everyone fired up, and then Microsoft.
Oh, yeah. Oh, Jesus. So, yeah, thanks. This is like the greatest hits of 2022 or 23. What the fuck is it? It was a long year for like a decade.
It's so long you had already forgotten this like thing.
I have it blocked out. It's like, no. So, yeah, it took 4 months to
I was setting it up with how difficult it is to write the plugins. And okay, go.
Yeah, no, that was the before hard part. Anyway, yeah. So yeah, we got the company back and the community's weathered this crazy thing. And we actually got all of those same things working on Ethereum. So, we've got basically a couple of different Ethereum worlds now on Minecraft that, function with our system. We were all really proud of that. We're going to, make a splash on Ethereum. And 2 things happened in quick succession. We got everything ready. The bear market had started. The first little inklings that it was coming had already sort of begun. The air was getting let out of the balloon. And 2 days before our sale, Minecraft said, "We hate NFTs. You guys suck." I'm paraphrasing slightly.
Yes, but that's what it felt like.
Right. And it turns out, like we read the user agreement, what NFT Worlds had done is baked things into the actual Minecraft client to make their shit work. And we read the end user license agreement for Minecraft, and it explicitly said, please don't do that. So we didn't, right?
Right.
So all of our Web3 fun stuff actually sits outside of Minecraft. So we were completely and totally fine. That still it was all over the news, and we got that sale was
right. So somebody else did stupid shit and violated the agreement. That got the eye of Microsoft, and then they just said blanket, screw you. We're gonna you guys are out.
Right. And again, like if you read the end users, we're still on Minecraft, all those things still work, right? Because we're on the right side of it. Now we did decide, to pivot. All of that stuff still works. There's lots of people that have builds on there. There's still a lot of things that we can do with it. but there's a different risk profile now, right? Like we're fine right now, right? If they come and say, okay, you guys we hate you. I'm like, cool. Well, rewrite your end user license agreement then, because we're on the right side of it right now. But they could at any point, they could just change it and be, jerks about it. So, okay, well, this is a good signal for us. We had always intended to be multi-platform anyway, right? So let's go look at other stuff. We looked at Unreal, we looked at Unity, we looked at a bunch of different things, right? And some friends of ours brought this platform called Mindtest, open source voxel program. It's like treats Minecraft as kind of a genre, right? Like tons of things are changed or whatever, but it's sort of that same idea.
Right.
It really kind of works for us, right? Like we're sort of kitschy, lo-fi stuff anyway, right? There's a lot of, there's a lot of metaverse things out there that are trying to show really flashy stuff, but things like, hey, like what can I do there? It's literally nothing, right?
Right.
Go there and be amazed at the vistas in Unreal 5, which is legit fine, right? But can I mine anything? No. Can I do anything? No.
Yeah, do you get all that functionality?
Right. And so we just, a lot of people are going to go down that direction. So let's go the direction where we want to focus on game mechanics, functionality, the ability to build, the ability to come there with your like 7-year-old kid and like, build castles and do all sorts of crazy stuff, right? So functionality was really our thing. Mindtest is great at that. So we have built out a couple of test worlds in Mind. And now like, we got battle robots, dude. Like we sort of, AI is sort of eating our brains a little bit, but like, and I'm not really worried about the doing any sales really soon because the bear market is still in full swing. But NFT battle robots are coming out. Those are going to be working in Mindtest, right? So you own the IP, you can come in and like battle with them and like watch them fight each other.
Awesome.
It's going to be brilliant. And you upgrade them, right? So we've got like a whole, game, in there. We were thinking about doing like breeding mechanics, like Axie Infinity, and there's just a bunch of million things that we can do with these things in there, right?
Sure.
Of course, you can own land and build and do all sorts of crazy stuff in Mindtest as well, up to and including freaking hang gliding, which Minecraft did not have. Yeah, highly entertaining. Anyway, so all that stuff is kind of percolating, getting ready, and so
it's like Fortnite crossed with Minecraft.
Yeah, well, okay, so they battle automatically. So there's like an arena, and you can watch them duke it out.
See, that's the kind of game I can play because I don't have the hand-eye shit for like where I have to actually move the character.
That's when we started doing the podcast interviewing. Me and my buddy Greg decided to try Fortnite. A couple of middle-aged nerds who wanted to like bring friends into Fortnite and interview them, and it's really like you're getting shot in the face by 7-year-olds the entire time, which is fun. The first podcast, and that's where we're like, let's go to Minecraft and have our own private server and build things for fun. Yay! There's a lot more speed.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so you guys have you guys are now building in Mindtest. You still have the functional Minecraft worlds, and that project is still active, and people are still engaged and building with it. But then one day GPT-4 came out, and
so I mean, Mindtest. I'm already thinking.
Oh, go ahead.
Like AI becomes a thing with GPT coming out, and like clearly the second we're in there, even GPT-3, like you create a persona, that persona then can have a conversation with you, and it's fancy, right? I'm doing that my 128 weeks NFT project that kind of just keep me in NFTs every morning or whatever, right? And I'm creating the AI ghost of Kurt Vonnegut or Carl Sagan or whatever. So like this whole persona thing is in my brain.
Right.
Like,
Makes sense.
How hard would it be to buy an NFT, have that NFT basically create a bot that connects to an API that talks to GPT-3 that runs our system prompts in the background so that it's got its own like any kind of PFP NFT that you can get or whatever has like the different traits or whatever. Our different traits are freaking persona traits, and they're embedded in how the conversation is going to work from here on in, right? Becomes a non-player character in your world, and we already know how to build bots that will come in and like you could direct them. You go like, hey, can you go farm those carrots? Yada yada yada, right?
Right.
And like launch all that through that kind of thing. So we started looking into how to do that with GPT-3, and GPT-4 comes out, and like within 2 days, I've got a working artificial intelligence in the Uplift Discord that has vastly more context memory than GPT-3 does, but basically the same as GPT-4 because it runs our whole message thread through it or whatever, right?
Right.
And we realized we had like something that is marketable right now, and we're all pretty hungry. These are leading times in the NFT space. So like Metaminds is a service where we're making bespoke artificial intelligences that learn and grow and can be trained that live in your Discord and basically kind of help manage your community.
So talk to me about kind of who your customer is.
Yeah, main customer right now is anyone running an active Discord.
Right.
Uh,
So it can be any kind of community. And then
Mhm.
you guys come in and you're setting up and fine tuning or training AI personality or ease to be able to engage with people
Yeah,
in the community.
yeah, right. So like if you come to the Uplift Discord, Metamind is in there, and Metamind's got a personality and has a whole bunch of information that we've got put into it now. And like ultimately, we want to be able to, training new models based on the entire history of Discords and the projects, whatever. That's going to end up being a little bit further down the road. But we've got it now where it's picking up tons more information than just exists in the message thread above it, but it gets that too, right? We've done almost an idiotic amount of work on making it so that it's not only got the capability of being the personas, which actually is kind of really easy if you just start embedding system prompts and just telling it like, hey, you're the happy-go-lucky,
Sure.
it's sad, whatever, right? But that's pretty easy to have that respond in line like that. But
But with the state of the technology, I mean, it's not like out of the box you can go, okay, I'm going to program this persona and it's going to remember it and I'll be able to have it make sure that
yeah,
I mean, that's not, we're
no,
not there yet.
yeah, it's I keep like 'cause we had a relatively easy time with it, but if you ask me to do it again, I'd start crying. It was a lot, and really that the persona thing, we found that to be relatively simple and fun.
Right.
But we rewrite them. There's a setup cost for every Discord. That means we're going in and rewriting like 50 system prompts,
Right.
with different personalities and stuff. But yeah, the being able to we spent the last couple weekends on this. The frequently asked questions, right? Most projects that the first two that signed on, yeah, can do all this fancy stuff. Can it help our mods with frequently asked questions? And we're like, sure, right? And these things, if not given very tight constraints, will hallucinate their ass off, right?
Right.
They're really, really good at being creative and having fun with stuff. But like you ask it a specific question about anything that happened before 2022, it's not
Right.
anything that we do, right? So yeah, and it was mostly Tuttle, my partner, Chris Tuttle, that got this working. So now, you ask a question, that is like a frequently asked question kind of thing. It's running through the very beginning part of the logs. It's doing some really epic searches for keywords. It's doing all this crazy shit while maintaining its personality.
Nice.
And our hit rate on on the answers is about 98% now. Whereas like 2
Wow.
weeks ago it was like 3.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean that it's developing pretty fast, and that's our main customers right now. Discords, especially Discords of any size,
Yeah.
that want to up engagement and basically take some of the pressure off of people running the Discord. I mean, those people running Discords now are making like 50 to 100 grand a year,
Right.
and our AI is definitely not that expensive,
Right.
and it's really, really good now, and will be frankly better than humans in a year or two as we train.
Oh, I have no doubt. And look, I mean, the beauty of this is even from the perspective of someone who's managing a community, right? I mean, as we know in the DeFi space, that is a never ending and often thankless, tiring ass job. As nice as the people are, it can be insanity, especially when you look at some of these communities that have thousands of people, right? It's like, yeah, it's trying to keep your head above water. So the idea that this personality can dive in and answer questions whenever anybody asks it, and you can actually be focused on encouragement and building and growing and sharing and scheduling and all the other things you have to do as a community manager, that's a powerful incentive to sign up with you guys, right? Is it something where, I mean, how long do you kind of think the initial setup is going to be for every Discord that you guys kind of have to come into?
So I want to get it. I mean, 'cause we're gonna have a couple of different levels, right? I think we're gonna have one that's kind of generic. We can throw some slap some personality things on it or whatever. Deploy in probably half a day.
Okay.
Down the road, our actual software engineer, both Chris Tuttle and I, who started once GPT-4, we built most of the guts of the thing. But
Right.
we're building on, infrastructure that's a little decentralized right now, but it's not where we want to end up. Right? So like getting to that point where, because again, I want to get into 1,000 discords before the end of the year.
Nice. I like that.
I mean,
I like big hairy goals, buddy.
it breaks no laws of physics, but it might break my brain and spirit.
Yeah. I have a feeling you're going to be a little, if you get there, you're going to be a bit ragged, but
Oh yeah, 100%. So yeah, I mean, right now the sort of really bespoke version, it's gonna take a half a day, because we're like there's a level of art that is going into the system prompts and the personality design and stuff.
right.
But yeah, it's I think it's gonna get a lot easier to the point where we should be able to deploy the simpler ones in an hour, and the bigger ones in a couple hours, and then eventually I think people answering a questionnaire about the personality construction, the values and the mission of their thing.
Uh-huh.
I'll be able to dynamically program something that will actually create and change all the system prompts to
That's awesome.
right, because it's just I think once we've done 5 now, right? Like once we're at 10 to 20, I'll have analyzed how I'm processing the value statements, the mission statements, the personality things that get requested, right?
Right.
And I'll just write a script that runs it through GPT-4 and has it do it for me.
That's beautiful. That's great. Well, now then you're at a level of self-service, right? I mean, I could envision me coming in, filling out the prompts, the questions, and everything else. It gets deployed, and then it's chatting back at me, and I can make a decision whether it's like right or not. And then ChatGPT can just change it for you. That's beautiful.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean,
you're a little bit feisty, dude. You need to go back and change this person. Change your personality, please.
Yeah,
Oh my
right.
God. Do they have that for wives? Sorry.
We definitely can't let the wives see this show. That sort of brings up the auto GPT and the baby AGI thing. So that baby AGI thing, right? You basically give it a question and it creates a couple of different personas. They bounce off each other.
Yep.
We started creating what we call hive minds. So basically, I think you guys tried a couple of these things, right?
Yeah, I did. They were freaking awesome.
Nuts, right? So you give the question, like tech team's one of them. It's gonna, send it to a few different tech personalities, fictional and non-fictional, right? They come up with a bunch of different ideas. It goes to some red team guys to kind of give some countervailing views, and then to a consensus one or whatever, and it gives this giant output that is like, here's how to build a robot or how to develop, I don't know, a novel. It doesn't matter. You can throw anything through these things.
Sure.
But now we've got about 10 of them, right? And from songwriter that'll like literally do everything in a song down to the riffs, which I didn't think was gonna work. Down to melodies, chord progression, the whole 9 yards, right?
Holy shit, that's beautiful.
And builder, like, it's more focused on pricing on how to actually build physical things. And then Tuttle actually saw this. You see the Hollywood Screenwriters Guild is like whining a couple of days ago, like, you need to ban AI. So Tuttle, like, they should be careful that she exists, because she created something called Scriptwriter that will make you a fucking movie script from start to finish, right? Including world building, themes, character personality traits, the whole, like, just, you have to try this. It runs for half an hour, right? In the background, we'll give you like a 30-page treatment on any idea. Like, it doesn't matter, right?
That's beautiful.
Yeah, and you just don't annoy her, or she'll basically create an AI.
Well, I tweeted out the next morning after that strike. I was like, every studio exec in Hollywood on ChatGPT this morning, write a story of blah blah.
Right, and so this we basically just embed a whole bunch of the logic, because you could spend like a day with GPT 3 or 4 and go, okay, here's the main idea, cool. Do some world building, do some character scripts, like do some example scenes, yada yada, right? All of that gets done automatically with ours, right? So you can basically run it, and it goes, it's done, and it does the whole thing. Anyway, all that to say that we're getting to this point really quickly where, once we unlock, it's actually our software engineer has it, but I was gonna bust your balls about having GPT-4 API access. I am jealous. This is my jealous face. So, once we get to there, we decided to wait to do it. We've already got AutoGPT running, right?
Right.
And we've actually mapped it far more to our hive mind architecture, just because the way it was creating personas and running tasks and stuff was not working very well.
Right.
But now those tasks can include code snippets, right?
Nice.
And those code snippets can get dynamically basically assembled to create anything.
Love it.
Right.
That's beautiful.
Basically the same kind of thing that Tuttle and I have been doing with GPT-4 and replets and different code snippets or whatever, right? We ask it how, we tell it to do a thing and it writes some code for it and it doesn't work. And we say, okay, this is the error message I got. And it creates a correction and yada, 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 right? Well, like other than the wanting bit, which is all that's left for humanity, I guarantee you that's where this ends, right?
Exactly.
Other than the wanting bit, everything else was just stupid monkey work.
Yeah.
Right. It's like copy pasting stuff back and forth, and we're going to close that loop once we have the GPT-4 API access. Right.
Yeah.
So then it's like, hey, could you do this? And then it goes and does the whole thing, including building the entire app, deploying it, doing error correction. And basically, we could go to bed, at night saying, hey, like build us, whatever we need for the next day. And the next day he's like, hey, how's this? We're like, oh, okay. Right. I mean, that's sort of where it's going. Right. And
that's where it's going.
We're seeing all the pieces to that over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And some, and people are talking about AGI in like a couple of years, like our team, a very humble team, frankly,
right,
is going to have functional AGI by the end of the year.
That's incredible, dude.
It's insane.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Yeah. Well, and it's funny because, there's an AI guy that I follow on Twitter. He's a very positive dude. Last night he tweeted he tweeted out basically, we're starting to hear these inklings of jobs and blah, 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 but it doesn't have to be that way. But, and I hate being the fucking Debbie Downer, but I was like, dude, listen, this is how this goes. At least as far as I can see it. We're going to have a massive loss of jobs, especially if we're in a recession. Executives, we're short time, especially public companies. We have short time horizons. They need to make money now. And when ChatGPT can replace 10 out of 20 people or even more, that's going to be too tempting. And we are going to see massive.
Not even tempting. Because of the way corporations in the United States and elsewhere,
right, it's required
fiduciary duty.
Yeah, and how do you look? It's one thing to say no. It just means we can make those 20 people 10 times more productive, and it's like, well, what are they going to fucking do, right? It's like you can't turn that ship that quickly, and so I say, look, this will be we're going to have a chasm of total chaos, and people are going to feel like they've lost their purpose, and they're going to have lost their money, and there's going to be pain, lots of pain and suffering. And then we have two shots. Other side is Mad Max or Nirvana. And I don't know which one we'll end up in, but we're going to have UBI. And at some point, I actually believe that money is going to become irrelevant.
It's all computational time.
Yeah. And there will be concentrated. We'll either have a completely decentralized AI world, or we're going to have concentration of that in 4 or 5 places. At the same time, AI is going to dramatically improve 3D printing and robotics, and we'll be printing the shit we want down the street, and it'll be delivered to us by the robots. And, look, I think the potential is huge. I'm excited. I can't wait. I'm also a little scared. My kid's going to college in a year. His timing just sucks.
Well, it doesn't have to though, right? I mean, it's like the beginning of the internet, like the people that were, or even before, computers became ubiquitous, right?
Yeah.
Like if you were a data entry person, yeah, your job is gone. Also,
right.
It's terrible anyway. And this is going to be, I think it's really fair to argue this is going to be a lot faster and potentially a lot more disruptive. Fine. As a gestalt, there's a lot of people that aren't paying attention. Yeah. Anyone listening to this, I mean, you guys are in DeFi crypto nerds, right?
Yeah.
Like anyone within the sound of any of your voices or influence can know that you get as close to the AI as you possibly can and use it for everything. That's the principle that we have with Metaminds. If you can use AI, you must, right?
Right.
You need to practice.
Right.
We're all exploring and figuring out how.
Well, and that's what you figure out what it can do, right? I mean, if you don't try it,
even OpenAI didn't know.
No,
and they still don't know. And
they still don't.
just on large language models, and that's not where this ends, but large
Right.
language models alone, you know, I mean, like ultimately, you know, doing, can we talk about drugs? Uh,
Yes,
cool.
absolutely.
Yeah, during a pretty intense ayahuasca ceremony, you know, we've been doing this sort of, they call it like family integration theory or whatever. I'm kind of like trying to work through some stuff in my brain, and you sort of, if you have repetitive things going on in your brain, you sort of separate that as like this is a different chord, right? Like
Right.
and then you can have interesting conversations with them, and it's just sort of a way to engage with your own, well, my neuroses, but like the personality traits, whatever, right?
Right.
But coming away from that, like large language models, what if you started attaching them all together? And that's kind of why we started doing the hive minds, right? So like,
Right.
what happens when I have, you know, 5 large language models that are running different elements of the same personality and adversarial network? You
Right.
have like the ability to simulate sentience,
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
whether that is like arguably sentience or not, honestly, I don't really care.
Yeah, I mean, that's the bottom line on this, right? The people who are, yeah, I have a friend who's a total naysayer. We're not there yet, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, dude, it doesn't matter. If the world sees that it can do this, and if humans see and interact with it and empower them or, does what it does, it's irrelevant what's real, because at
Yeah,
the end of the day, what's real is what is it doing for you or to you or whatever, right?
that's an even better way to think about it. Have you seen that? Was it Replica or something that they immediately made like the chat sex bot,
Right.
because of course they did, right? I
Of
bet like
course.
no one's shocked. But then they actually they dialed it back to not be explicit anymore, and people were fucking sad,
Oh, yeah, I saw that. The
right? Like
girl that was my girlfriend.
right, and I mean, you know, it's easy to joke about, and to anyone who did that, I'm sorry for how many jokes I got at your expense. But I think importantly, um, it the idea that, to your point, frankly, that it had a real emotional effect.
Yeah,
And I mean, like, I find myself, even with our AIs now, like, I know how they work. I know they
yeah,
aren't thinking. I
right.
still polite.
Exactly,
Right?
exactly. I always feel guilty when I walk away and I forgot to say thank you.
So, man, we actually had to change. So we had in Metaminds, we had just a simple thing where if you're talking to it, it'll constantly ask you context derived questions, right? So like
Right,
whenever you're having a conversation with it about it, it'll find something really cool, usually like obnoxiously good sort of observations and then responses, right? So it's sort of
right.
reflecting back something to you and then asking a question about that. People were like, "Could you please give me a command that I can give that will tell it I have to go?" Because it won't stop, right? It'll just keep going. And people would have like just a terrible time walking away from it. Like, I feel like such an asshole that I'm just leaving this awful
Thing
question
talking
hanging.
to
I'm like,
itself.
these are the problems that we have. Yeah. So now, exclamation mark is how we run like focus commands. Exclamation mark later will let it know that you actually have to go.
We're done. We're
Yeah.
finished. You can shut up now.
Yeah.
That's great.
But yeah, like instantly, you know, engaging. And that's the thing, just on the large language model, like it's got an ability, and like the whole thing that, you know, it's just statistically picking the next best word. Well, that, you know, is designed on a neural network, and so are you, right? Like,
Yes.
we're doing the same thing. I,
Yep.
you know, do we have the ability to have sort of chunk higher context stuff? Yes, but tell me that GPT-4 isn't doing that,
No.
right?
It's yeah. I
Or
agree.
it's using brute force to simulate it and doesn't matter,
It doesn't matter because it's
right?
getting what we want out of it.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
It's pretty fancy.
So, you've already got people signed up for this thing, and I think that we're all at this weird, like, look, I remember vividly. I was 95 trying to convince people that the internet was going to take over the world, and they looked at me like, "What the fuck is the internet, and what are you talking about?" And and I remember this. I had one buddy who's like, what's great about it?" I'm like, "Sit down and search for anything the first thing that pops into your head." And he said, "Okay, nose hair," and found, luckily in 1996 or whenever that finally was, a ton of shit. And he was like,
Like a nose hair chat board.
"Yeah." I was like, he was like, "Oh, that's fucking weird." And then he was like, I see," kind of clicked into it and got it. But I just I think we're all, I almost lost my train of thought and I got it back. I think we're all kind of like, you can see it by all the companies launching and everybody trying to start something, right? That there
Yeah.
are so many fucking directions. And I remember the heat of that. Like I was building one of the first SaaS companies in the world. It was application service provider, but I was building one of the first ones in the world. And I wanted to go 5 million fucking directions. Like,
That's
and
my
this
life.
is 100x. Like this is wow, all day fucking long. So my question, because there is a question, my question is, as you guys are doing this, like I'm sitting here listening to you talk and I'm thinking, oh, well, cool. So community manager, that's your customer. You could have a social media post module and people come in and give it the idea and boom, 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 that gets
Have it,
posted,
wrote it,
right?
exists.
Okay, good. There we go.
Now, okay, and this is where, yes, we have more ideas on what we can do with for sure, right? And the Hive Minds is basically like the whole other. You can go to Metaminds.app. It's a whole thing. You can do it. You need to get some codes from me. There's some freebies that might work on one. Try to
Cool.
script write it, right?
I'm sure Corey will share some codes with us so I can put them in the Telegram.
I'll give you tons.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So it speaking of losing your train of thought, yeah, the content creator is one of them, right? You give it notes, any idea, snippet, and it'll create tailor-made content for 7 different social media platforms, blogs, spit out SEO, the whole 9 yards, right? Just gives you all that. Now, we haven't closed the thing yet to actually post all of those yet. So we need some API work, and there's some sort of loops to close on that. But that's the goal, right?
Yeah.
Eventually, you throw it into content creator, and it's not only adapting all of that stuff to be like really exciting and engaging versions specifically designed for LinkedIn or Twitter or Facebook or whatever,
right?
But then it's actually posting those things as well, right? So we're diminishing the time from idea to going to the sort of social media platforms that you own, that are yours, right? That you can kind of do whatever the hell you want to do with them. So that's coming. I had an idea yesterday for creating an automatic lobbyist AI, right? Because people are writing really awesome letters to their things through GPT-4 or whatever, right?
Right.
Like, yeah, but we could make something that not only does that but writes to all of them and then creates a content schedule and just fucking bangs these guys' email addresses until they're like, fine, responsible gun control is something we should do. Yeah. Also, UBI, right? But I can't touch that. I just no, shush. Right?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
We're recovering political junkie.
See, because I think I would be tempted. I would be like, okay, I could create that module. But really, all they got to do is do it with ChatGPT. But I think the power of what you bring to the table right now to this market at the stage we're in is the ability to craft and modularize the functionality that people are going to want because they don't know how to make it happen.
That's
right.
Tons of companies going out there doing those things, and even like how many posts have you seen? Like, hey, we'll sell you 6,000 prompts for $50 or whatever.
Yeah.
Nobody's gonna use those. Nobody cares, right?
Right.
It's like it's interesting, but people just want to. Well, and real power of AI. I sort of talked about it. This is where I think, we're going to be focused the entire time because like how things are now, it's not going to be how things are in a year. Right?
Exactly.
I already know like some good friends of mine are like building this company. They're like, hey, can you just stick to Discord and please not do any other things? And then that way we're not going to compete. I was like, fuck no, no.
I don't think so.
Because nobody knows. Like we don't know where it's going to go. Like
exactly.
Are we gonna do really well in the Discord niche market? Yeah, but we've got millions of other irons in the fire, and we don't know where this is going to end up. So of course we're not going to stop. Yeah, and it turns out what they were building is a giant API platform thing that Zapier announced they were going to do 5 seconds later. That and OpenAI announced they were going to do it 5 seconds.
Yeah, but
later.
I mean, why didn't they know that was coming?
They're building the wrong thing. But they were always building the wrong thing.
Right? Exactly.
And it was a software engineer that had a lot of fun piecing that stuff together himself. And so he's like, hey, like, why don't I open this up to everybody else? So his thinking wasn't wrong, but it's just like, obviously other teams are going to be doing that. So that's like, I want to be able to obviously, create a decent, strong business on, in our Discord market. I think we've got some long-term goals that are going to set us far ahead of what anyone else could possibly be thinking about at this point. People are like, it's actually not that hard to get a bot that runs through GPT and brings back responses, right? But one of the team we've seen doing that, they have like a super simple thing. They don't have any context memory. They don't have this. They don't have that. So like, okay, get some, and people will figure that out, especially people that watch us and figure out what we're doing.
Right.
But yeah, wanting is what's left, right? Human beings wanting a thing and using AI to shrink the amount of time and effort between wanting that thing and seeing that thing in the universe.
Right.
That's like how you can break down, take anything in any business, the process of applying artificial intelligence to it, right? Like Kevin Kelly, the 1,000 True Fans guy, Kevin Kelly on Tim Ferriss, the last one, go listen to it twice.
Okay.
Really, really good. He's a founder of Wired, co-founder of Wired back in the day.
Okay.
But he's been talking about for years, like take artificial intelligence, take X, apply AI to it, and that's your business model, right?
Right.
And I think, figuring out the AI part of it is really fun, and we can build gazillions of things, right?
Right.
But it's gonna end up being like, what do people actually use?
Yeah, absolutely.
ChatGPT smashed it, right? So then when people are developing a lot of really cool things that you can do with it. And so what we're basically doing is taking all of our sort of specialized knowledge of how to create prompts and prompt chains, right? That, you can spend 2 days playing with GPT-3, or you can run one of our hive minds, right? You can spend 3 months developing your own Discord AI, and then another 2 months figuring out how we managed to get the FAQ stuff to work. Or you can just ask us to build it and we'll do it for you.
Dude, you're the web developers of 1998 to 2002 that could charge, $150,000 for a website. And then you will move on and be more advanced. But right now you're at the beautiful space of, and I don't mean that insultingly that you were the web developers at that time, but
No.
you're at that stage where you were smart enough to dive in, figure this shit out. And now all of the people that won't be able to figure it out because they still have shit to do, they will want you to do this. And the beauty is you can package it, and then you can have it running, and you can be making money from it, and then you can be ahead of the curve on what is the next level of the thing.
I think ultimately that's where we're gonna land. Because I don't care if we get really, really big. I want to make sure that we're on the wave and we stay on the wave. Kind of as long as possible. Just because this is the only time in human history this is ever going to happen.
That's right. This is it.
Wow.
One shot.
Right?
One shot.
Being this close to something I've been fascinated with in science fiction for my entire life, right? It's like somebody who invents teleporters. You're like, wait a minute, what?
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Well, look, I mean, I can see it, feel it, smell it. The emotional sensation, the excitement is incredibly similar to how it felt in .com, but explosive levels of insanity. And then, I've tweeted this a few times, but I was talking to some folks the other day that are developers, and I said, your jobs are not going to be here. Apps are not going to be here. There are not going to be applications. Those are dead. They will survive for a bit. But once the OS has the functionality, and once the OS has the knowledge, that's the interface. I mean, the AI, not the OS. And then the operating system.
But they're the same. Right? At a certain point.
Then the operating system goes away. The one we use, the ones we're used to.
Right. And this is where I think it's going. I'll tell everybody this for free because I think it's inevitable. And we actually got to it, kind of ass backwards, thinking, okay, everybody owns their own NFT. We want these things to basically learn their user and get better at interacting with them, remember, right? So they're all going to need their own memory buckets. And I can't remember the guy's name. Is it the inventor of the internet or whatever? Somebody interviewed him.
Tim Berners-Lee?
I don't know. I'm not even going to speculate because I'd get it wrong.
It's all good.
But if you Google inventor of the internet and personalized AIs, it'll come up. It's a couple of different articles or whatever.
Okay.
But it's where we landed. Getting an encrypted bit of data, giving it literally. I've got my own personalized bucket. I give my banking information, everything I can, my social medias, DMs, everything. Right. I put this in an encrypted thing, and we may or may not be talking about this with IBM, who runs HyperProtect, which is like an encrypted data source thing that's the top in the world, whatever, right?
Nice.
So, you have your own thing, and you have your own version of our Discord AI, basically, right? It's got its own construct, its own ability. But then, if you say, this app doesn't exist, or I don't want to pay for this app, could you make this functionality? It will just print it. It's just going to figure it out. it'll plug into any one of like 5,000 APIs and be able to do anything from, banking to handling all of your legal, to handling all of your accounting, to handling, all of your self-help. It's going to be your freaking health coach. And it's going to become integral to how we live our lives.
That's right.
We go back on this. We're probably going to launch this at some point relatively soon. The whole education thing, right? Is it that the tutor place, the Khan
Academy,
right? They're using AI now,
right?
It was obviously we're going to do it, and they're I think probably still charging for whatever. We were talking about like maybe starting like a GoFundMe and putting this up for free. Like in it, Discord, you get personalized tutor, and
nice.
It just runs. But that's I think I could go back to the whole.
I know you meant launch this as a DAO and not fiat GoFundMe, right?
Sure. Yeah. That. Honestly, yes, like you said, that's way more fun. Man, I didn't think of that. Clearly, the I go back to the Aristotle and Alexander the Great example a lot in my brain. Like we, like certainly me, and maybe you. Like I've been privileged kind of my whole life, right? Like I had parents that were doing decently well. I got to spend all my time reading insane shit, and when I got to teach myself stuff and develop the idea and the sort of habit of doing that, right? Which isn't a foregone conclusion. And I go back to what it must have been like, or what it's like for people with intense means to have basically tutors or mentors near them at all times. The outcomes are exponentially greater than the average.
Right? That's
right. Alexander the Great had Aristotle, who was the best teacher, of his time. Right. And honestly, Aristotle wasn't even that smart. He was all right for the Bronze Age, whatever it was. Sorry, Aristotle's memory. But like 5 years from now, every single kid that is learning how to speak English is going to have access to a voice activated version of this. And it'll never go away.
Yep.
Sooner or later, the good ones, and we'll build them if nobody else does, are going to learn everything about it. Like it's going to have context memory, which is super important, right?
Right.
It's going to remember that, when you were 3, you saw your first butterfly, and it's going to be able to bring that stuff back. It'll remember that, you did all right on this math test, but you could do better, right? It's going to know everything about the best kind of learning and teaching that human beings have ever done.
That's right.
And that's just going to sit in its RAM now, right? That floors me. The ramifications of that are not understood right now. And
no.
I think anything that we can do to help get it in the hands of more kids faster is going to be better. And I saw a couple of things where all the rich kid schools are forcing you to use ChatGPT. All the poor kid schools are banning it.
Right. Exactly. Ass backwards.
Right. Just
ass backwards.
Get as close to the AI as you can and tell that to everyone who you talk to. And make sure they get it.
Yep. Absolutely, dude. Wow. I think that's a good place to end this.
Cool. I would drop my mic, but it's very heavy.
How we'll put it in the show notes, but how should people find you? They
at Corey Cottrell on most socials. Twitter, Facebook. I'm still on Facebook.
Cool. I still have an account
with all the old people.
I go in when people wish me happy birthday.
There you go.
Yeah.
But yeah, Twitter, Instagram, all those places, Telegram.
Beautiful.
All that kind of stuff. Go to Metaminds.app and see our
go play.
Website,
Corey will send codes.
Yeah. I'll include a couple dozen codes for.
If you guys want to listen, if you guys want to experience kind of the agent stuff, Corey and his team have made this super powered and easier.
Yeah, it's fun. So Hiveminds.app. You can get there from Metaminds too, but Hiveminds.app will take you to a place that basically just runs different scripts, different Hive minds.
Beautiful.
It's like one code per right now. It's good. You can run Snowball that'll run on any program or any challenge you give it for a half hour. Just grinds like crazy. And and you'll see if you run Snowball, it's basically running a couple different agent variables and like tossing ideas back and forth, but then it'll render down to tasks, right? And when you see it render down to tasks, just ask yourself, is there any software on earth that could do this? And if there is, our future version of Snowball is just going to build it.
Yeah, exactly.
Like in real time. It's going to be absurd.
It's beautiful.
Really fun.
I'm so excited for you guys, man.
Thanks, man. And the SaaS thing, I keep coming back to this too. we're building some stuff in the background for that. And we should just team up so that, because you've already done this, like that whole, every business is going to need this. So, because we can deploy stuff in Slack, we can deploy stuff in Microsoft Teams. It's just basically like we need someone to, want to throw enough money at us to distract us from what we're building. You know what I mean? Like that's sort of where it's at, and like building the infrastructure in the background to kind of handle all of that stuff. We're already starting to do that,
Right.
But yeah, it'd be really cool if we created another SaaS business and sold the shit out of that too.
I love it.
All right, rock and roll.
Let's do it.